Imagine being an actor, showing up to work for the day, and suddenly there's 3 tons of water rushing towards you, threatening to drown you and your fellow castmates. Well, that's exactly what happened to the cast of Deep Blue Sea. So the next time you watch the film, just know that these people are legitimately running for their lives, narrowly avoiding a tragedy. But like any good shark movie, its behind the scenes is nearly as interesting as the film itself. So let's look at the fates that were changed, the actors that had to be fought for, and the chaos of having a jet engine and a mechanical shark, as we dive in to what the f happened to Deep Blue Sea.
She screwed with the sharks, and now the sharks are screwing with us.
Nightmares have been an inspiration for many a horror film. But picture seeing a tragic shark attack and being unable to shake it, waking up in the middle of the night terrified of the image of sharks coming towards you in a confined space. Thankfully, screenwriter Duncan Kennedy was able to parlay that into a script called Deep Red that Warner Bros. Bought in 1994. Apparently, he wasn't aware of the famous Italian giallo. But there wouldn't be movement on the project until director Rennie Harlin joined, with Wayne and Donna Powers being hired to rewrite the script. For final rewrites, Akiva Goldsman was brought on to smooth things out further and took the script in a more alien direction. By this point, the title had changed to Deep Blue Sea. Kennedy claims that the basic structure of his script remained the same, but there were elements from every screenwriter who did revisions. The basic story follows a scientific research station that is using mako sharks to help find a cure for Alzheimer's. But an unintended side effect is that the sharks actually get smarter, which is all fine and dandy until the sharks fight back, flood the facility, and start going after the humans one by one. It had all the makings of a summer blockbuster. Harlan was actually a risky hire, as he hadn't had a commercial success since 1993's Cliffhanger. Because of this, Harlan knew how important it was for Deep Blue Sea to find an audience, so he knew unpredictability would be on his side. He didn't want the audience to know who would live and who would die just based on the casting, so he went for more unknowns. Thomas Jane hadn't quite stepped into the shoes of the Punisher, so he was perfect for the role of shark handler Carter Blake. Michael Rapaport had appeared in bit roles, and his stand-up comedy experience really lent itself to comedic relief Tom Scoggins. I mean, just look at this behind-the-scenes interview.
It's real sharks killing the actors, and that's never been done before.
Saffron Burrows plays the scientist who makes the sharks smarter, Dr. Susan McAllister, whose fate would change during test screenings. Then, for recognizable actors, he's set to kill each and every one of them off, establishing to the audience that no one is safe. And there was no one bigger than Samuel L. Jackson, who would have the most memorable death in the entire movie.
We're gonna seal off this.
His character Russell Franklin had actually been made specifically for him, after Jackson's team turned down the role of Preacher, not wanting him to play a chef. Though there was one actor who got shortchanged with all of this, Ronnie Cox. Most of us probably remember him from RoboCop, but he actually appears at the beginning of Deep Blue Sea as Russell's corporate boss. But due to the edit, he doesn't say a word and instead just sits there as Russell stands over him. We even get a close-up to further make us go, why is Ronnie Cox here and completely silent? Quite a tragedy given what a villainous role Cox can pull off.
Beating time.
Harlan had to fight with the studio to get his choice for Preacher hired. Thankfully, the studio lamented and LL Cool J was brought in, providing a bit of humor and gaining the audience's sympathies. Preacher was actually supposed to die early on in the script, but Harlan liked him so much that he kept him on till the end. Though his fate wasn't actually saved until test screenings were upset that his character was dying. The parrot that he constantly interacts with was actually 2 separate parrots, one good at flying and one that would sit on his shoulder. They were simply purchased in Mexico City versus getting a trained Hollywood parrot due to budget constraints. You can also see Rennie Harlin as one of the workers leaving for the weekend on the boat. Gotta love a director cameo.
The most brilliant man ever.
He's pissing into the wind. How brilliant can he be?
Finally, Stellan Skarsgård was cast as Dr. Jim Whitlock, a very English name that really doesn't take into account his very Stellan Skarsgård accent.
2 months ahead of schedule. We're skipping 3 rounds of preliminary trials.
Original production designer Joseph Bennett did not get along with Harlan and said that he didn't have enough time to get the sets made, which is a big no-no when you're working on a studio's timeline. So despite him designing most of the film to that point, he was replaced by famed designer William Sandell, who came in as a favor to the studio. Sandell came up with many solutions and was able to get the film on track, allowing them to stay on their timeline. Shooting began in Rosarito, Mexico at the Fox Baja Studios. They actually used the same water tanks that James Cameron had used on Titanic, building their set on top of it, and it's quite impressive. But unfortunately, the first day of shooting was also chaotic, with one of the mechanical sharks malfunctioning and destroying the bodies of 4 different Panavision cameras. Talk about an expensive accident. The sharks were both practical and computer-generated, depending on the needs of the production. Hilariously, Harlan decided to make one of the sharks 26 feet long, since the shark from Jaws was 25 feet and clearly had to be outdone. Though the Big Mama shark was actually described as being 45 feet long in the film.
45-foot shark, you hit me.
Which is 3 times larger than the largest mako ever recorded. Ah, movie magic. And there was more than one Jaws reference in the film, as the tiger shark that Carter pulls the license plate from its mouth is the same plate that Hooper pulls from the shark's stomach in Spielberg's classic. Special effects designer Walt Conti, who had worked on both Free Willy and Anaconda, spent 8 months building the shark. The production built 4.5 practical sharks, 3 Gen 1s, and 1.5 Gen 2s. They were remote-controlled machines that weighed 4 tons and had 1,000 horsepower engines inside them. They were just as dangerous as real sharks. If you look closely during the scene where Jim Whitlock loses his arm, you can actually see that they did facial replacement, as it was actually a stunt actor performing the action. But actress Jacqueline McKenzie was actually in the mechanical shark's mouth for her death scene, as well as LL Cool J at the end of the film. I guess they weren't told about some of the shark malfunctions that had occurred during the production to that point. With water involved, the shoot was extremely tough, with Harlan calling it the most difficult experience of his life. And they even took the filming to the ocean, with Tom Jane actually swimming amongst real sharks. This was actually done at the end of production, just in case something happened during the dive. Ah, that's comforting. One of the most satisfying moments of the movie is when Dr. Susan McAllister meets her maker and proves that karma is real. But that wasn't always the case. In fact, the original ending actually had McAllister escaping her predicament and surviving to the end. Thankfully, test audiences balked at such a terrible character surviving when so many others were killed due to her actions. So Harlan went in and changed it. They did a quick one-day reshoot at a tank at Universal Studios and did some quick CGI work to change her fate. Clearly the right decision. But according to rumor, no one told Saffron, and she actually found out at the premiere. The studio really made the most of LL Cool J's involvement, even using 2 songs of his, one of which was made specifically for the movie, and features one of the most insane music videos ever made. The score from composer Trevor Rabin also stands out and manages to avoid any John Williams parallels, and has a unique identity all its own. Deep Blue Sea released at theaters on July 30th, 1999, and brought in $18.6 million on its opening weekend. The film would end its run over $165 million worldwide, making it a massive hit for Warner Brothers. Critics were more mixed, giving it a 60% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but the film has certainly reached cult status in the years since. Arrow Video put out an absolutely beautiful 4K of the film that is a must-own for any fan of the movie. We did receive 2 separate straight-to-DVD sequels in 2018 and 2020, and there's some dumb fun to be had with both, but neither reach the heights of the Harlan original and are more akin to sci-fi originals than big studio films. Given the genre's lack of quality, it's no surprise that Deep Blue Sea ranks amongst the best shark movies ever made. It's fun and is never lacking in memorable moments or characters. And that, my friends, is what the f*** happened to Deep Blue Sea.
Are you sure it was just 3 sharks?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's more like it.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.